on the blue side, Ultra Prime on the red. The TF, Aphelios, Caitlyn banned away by LGD. The Ziggs, Talon, and the Renekton banned by Ultra Prime. First pick of the Jinx.
You'd expect Corki to come out for Ultra Prime right now. Probably does set up for something like a Jhin to potentially come out in the bottom lane. We have seen Elk index into other picks like the Kaisa. It can work theoretically because you have things like the package, but I don't like it. I think the fact you have Corki just play a longer range style, go with the Jhin right now, put the ball into LGD's court. You have both the Lee Sin, Zhao left open. Heck, even Jarvan, who will get a lot of value and agency up against immobile picks like the Jinx is open. So I think Ultra Prime's rotation of mid ADC makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it definitely does. And the Jhin, just to be that utility carry, just set up the double marksman composition, I really like. And it's a little bit different from game number 1, right? Where you have that Caitlyn that was absolutely steamrolling the map, it felt like, and the Corki was there to back it up towards the end, towards those team fights, really putting in the damage for Cryin. But that turns our attention over to LGD, who are looking to get a decent amount of, I feel like, stability from that game number 1 in the JinJiao, where Shadow had some things that looked good for him, but setting themselves up at least with stability on the bot side of the map, right? Making sure that they have a duo on the bot side that is not going to get trounced on by Elk and ShiauC.
And going towards that Nautilus, already knowing that for Ultra Prime, they're going to be going towards a more aggressive support pick as well. We've seen the Leona come out time and time again. You have the Jhin, so you are thinking of things like the Leona, the Rakan. Typically could bring out a Karma. I don't think you would in the situation against the Nautilus. The Leona is going to be locked in, and now we're going to be looking towards second phase for Ultra Prime. The fact that they already have a mid laner, they can try and ban out certain things like the Victor that would slot quite well, having the Jinx alongside it. And for the side of LGD, I think you just try and take away some junglers again. Push Hacker down into one of those secondary picks. Sure, he can play them like we saw the Olaf last time around, but don't let him get the Lee Sin or the Jarvan.
I was going to say, you got to ban away that Jarvan. It's just such a powerful pick. The Camille as well being banned away by Ultra Prime as we're in that second phase. And just a little point, right? I love to see ShiauC getting something. He's played so much this split already, even though it's so early. Very, very heavy comfort coming in for the majority of Ultra Prime in the first phase. And that just makes me feel like they're using a lot of the momentum coming off of game 1 specifically, as the Jace gets banned away for the final ban of Ultra Prime.
Ultra Prime wanting to take away some of the carry champions that Fearness is well known on. You still have a plethora of other high-value picks still open. Gwen, of course, is the first one that jumps to mind. I think probably the best blind pick top laner left open. Gragas still being there as well. I think for Ultra Prime here is where you should just index into a jungle pick. Still certain things left open. We know the Viego's still there as well, but looks like no, Ultra Prime maybe just wanting to head towards the top laner.
Interesting. All right, so the Gragas comes through from Ultra Prime, and so far, so good in their style of composition they want to go for, bringing back the Gragas and the Corki from game number 1. Now we got to look at the solo lanes for LGD as we're maybe potentially looking at some carries to back up the rest here, but maybe even a tank at the top lane to shore up that front line that we wanted to see last time, and it's the ORnn locked in.
So not having confidence in going for what should theoretically be a winning lane matchup when he did bring out the Gwen last time around. We've seen the LeBlanc covers a little bit, and I think it would fit their comp quite well. When we talked about more aggressive options coming into the mid lane, still brings a bit of that volatility that the Echo does, but also gives you a lot more room to play safe with the fact that you have Distortion, then having the Mimic as well, so having 2 getaways. We highlighted the Lee Sin being left open before. For the side of LGD, they thought it was more worth to ban out the Olaf, which you do have a ton of CC on your side as LGD, so I guess Ragnarok would be quite annoying. Ultra Prime are going to bring out the Lee Sin in the end. And for Ultra Prime, I think things are looking pretty similar. I will say the one big difference, though, is your damage profile is being heavily indexed into Cryin this time around. He needs to be the big carry in the game. Elk going to be more of an enabler.
Absolutely. And I still feel like Hacker is going to have a lot to say in this one, especially in the Lee Sin, right? But as a whole, the whole Ultra Prime team, they can space a fight out so well. I'm so interested in how we see the approach to big team fights to objectives as we get the game going, because this team is definitely going to be able to pick apart some of the pieces for the side of LGD, but on the side of LGD, right, I do feel like you're shoring up a few of the weaknesses we got in that first game, as you said, for YaG having a little bit more mobility, a little bit more give and take with the LeBlanc, but as well as getting that power pick in the Jinx, getting the tank front line that you needed in the first game, and having a lot of engage to back up the shot calling.
I love that you hit on the tank front line, not only for the engage. The fact is, we saw in game one, I'm sorry, when LGD had to try to get into River, they have no one who can face check vision. Shadow tried to walk in, just got chunked out by the Corki. Then it led to that really botched coordination where they couldn't find an engage. Now you have two members in Fearness and JinJiao who can easily walk into River and set up for these team fights you want to find.
Indeed, we do, as we get the flashes of the emblems across the screen. This is make or break for LGD going into game number 2. They are on the verge of losing yet another series on the spring split, but they need to make a comeback. One of these teams walking away with their first series victory tonight, and Ultra Prime are the first ones to try to make that happen as we go into game 2.
The standard LeBlanc ward coming out to start the game off. Always just W over the wall, get that on the red buff, try and spot out what the enemy jungler is going to try to do. So getting some nice vision. Even ShiauC looks like getting a ward in the bottom side to spot out just in case Shadow wants to go for any cheeky ganks. And Ultra Prime now going to commit to a full-on invade. Maybe just get some more wards down. Digi spotting it out, though.
Yeah, able to spot it out. See some vision there, but the ward finally placed down. As we do get a little bit of that jungle vision for both of these teams. At least trying to find out the early pathing, right? Because that is what snowballed the game in game number 1, was the early pathing from the junglers.
And once again, I think the jungle plans are decently telegraphed. Sure, we see pathing towards the opposite side of the rift to try and go along with the prio you will have to be able to take those crabs. But you have ORnn versus Gragas in the top lane. Not a matchup where, you know, sure, let's say both junglers dedicate time there, right? You get a few kills on either of your tanks. It doesn't add to very high value. Your only windows to do that are early on. They will get too tanky too quickly to where you can focus them. I still think both teams will focus different areas, though. For LGD, definitely should be mid once again. You have this LeBlanc against Corki. You have the setup to try and get her out of lane. For Ultra Prime, I think typically you are heading towards the bottom lane first before looking mid, with the fact that you do have ShiauC once again on an aggressive pick.
Yeah, and especially if you could set up this bot lane, you get 1-2 kills for Alki, will be able to have a little bit more presence in the lane. But the early game is definitely going to be a little bit rough against this combo of the Jinx and the Nautilus. And especially when JinJiao is landed some pretty nice hooks to start the series off, or the second game of the series off, for ShiauC on the other side last time.
Yeah, at least for the... Oh, actually,
that's what I'm saying, man. Like, oh my goodness. Elk almost dies to the rockets, but now Eric has to get away. The deadly flourish doesn't connect, but the Zenith play did. And first blood for ShiauC. I don't know if that's a caster curse or just good play from Ultra Prime. And then, what? Shadow finds the solo kill. That jungle vision is king.
Also, Shadow aggressively going into the enemy jungle. He has a pushing mid laner. Sure, the top lane might have been neutral at the point, but knowing he can win out in that 1v1. A ton of action going across the map. I wonder which one we'll get a replay of first. We're going to find out. Looks like we're going to see how Shadow does it. Just passing through topside. Waits for Hacker to commit to the red buff with his Q. Can't get away. Now does have Flash, but it doesn't matter in the end. Sneaky Shadow finding a kill, and this is the early aggression we set up from LGD in this series.
Exactly. We are getting that focus towards topside, but it's on to ZS under tower. Fearness is tanking tower shots, though. Will not be traded back, and LGD pull off a tower dive.
On the opposite side of the map, though, they do got to be a bit afraid. Ultra Prime. You have one wave right now. ShiauC goes in.
Early engage, though, and that's a problem for ShiauC. ShiauC dies.
Yeah, it seems like he just wanted to force a bit of an aggressive trade, maybe to start it off, trade some HP, because Hacker not in a position to go in yet, even Cryin not here. Cryin has almost no mana.
TP coming down here from the top side. Eric dies already. Cryin taking some damage too, but it's 2 for 1. Cryin gets both of the kills.
In the end, it even equals up to being a 2 for 2 if you account for the ShiauC death that
I
started
guess so,
it all
true.
off. I think the silver lining for Ultra Prime is the fact that, okay, You got 2 kills on your Corki. We hit on how Corki is going to be your main carry and has to start getting accelerated in the mid game to be able to just take over the game against the fact that LGD do have multiple damage threats. The bad side is like, okay, you didn't really deny LGD too much. I don't think they lost too much in terms of minions in the wave. And yeah, LGD picked up the same amount of kills as you.
ShiauC almost gets hooked up by JinJiao, but will not do so. Cryin taking a decent amount of damage from G as well. But ShiauC going to make sure this wave gets cleared out for Cryin and set up for the mid lane carry.
Looks like for now as well, LGD going to commit to having control of the top side of the map. They did take advantage of the window pre-6 where Gragas is a bit easier to dive. Maybe try and set that one up once again.
Look at this.
Summoners are down.
Eric gets in trouble here. Puts out the flame choppers. The deadly flourish connects though, and here's the damage coming down. Elk has the 4th shot, but the kill goes to Hacker.
Both supports are around mid lane right now, so it opens up for that opportunity for Hacker to find a sneaky way in bot. Sadly, the wave was going against him. I'm going to focus on mid now as both supports still staying here. I wouldn't expect anything to come from this with the fact that we don't have Yeji in lane. But Ultra Prime at least evening it up. And now Reset's going to come out on both sides. We do see a cult in the bottom lane for Eric, so committing more towards that scaling, getting that gold, and getting closer to his power spikes. Elk plated steel caps on the opposite side, so going to be able to survive a lot of the damage that Eric is putting out early in the game. And it does seem like we have lost Mazel, which is phenomenal, because I have been waiting for this moment to solo cast once again. Lyric in chat, date number 2 or 3. I can't remember. I can't remember what happened in summer split of last year. You know, we're just going to get back to the game, because Hacker making his way up towards the top side of the map. Looks like preempting of a potential dive coming out from LGD because they do have push in mid. They know Shadow's been on the top side. Now we see if they can pull it off. Explosive cast up for ZS. That was so early though, ZS. Still is going to be able to survive because Cryin does have TP. Yeah, that could have been really bad. Still though, your Corki going to lose out a bit in terms of mid lane, having to blow so much cover ZS on the top side. You do buy time, which is nice when we're talking about this Corki being the big carry for the side of Ultra Prime. We know it is going to have to go later for them. But I think that opens up a good conversation with myself in terms of scaling. How does this look? How does this look, Lyric? What should we expect when we get, you know, say 30 minutes into the game? Though I might need to pause on answering my own question, because Shadow kind of hovering around top side right now. Doesn't look like he will commit to the play, so we will go back to highlighting maybe what happens later on. I think LGD actually looked very strong once we get to the later on 5v5s, right? You have the hyper carry in your Jinx. You have this massive front line, long range engage, close range engage. You got everything. If you get on objectives first, like Dragon, bam! Yeji popping over walls, chunking you out before you're able to walk in. For Ultra Prime, you're somewhat relying on picks. You will have things like the package to try to close long amounts of distance and catch out stragglers or try and find picks onto maybe Fearness later on with your jungler and your top laner. But yeah, I don't think it spells out all too well for the side of Ultra Prime. As Fearness get chunked out a little bit. You know, I feel like with the fact that Mazel's gone and I've completely taken over this stream, it would be a great time to bring out more up quotes. Sadly though, I don't have more up quotes. Sub is a phenomenal movie. I used to have a Mr. Fredrickson Christmas sweater. I did leave that in Shanghai when I left though, sadly, but you guys don't care about my Mr. Fredrickson Christmas sweater. You guys care about this Rift Herald. And we all care because Ultra Prime moving to the top side right now. Fearness might be caught out. Does have flash. Called the Forge God, not open yet. ZS going for the big flash, and we see Hacker following in. Cast does go down. Hacker kicking him away. Does have to flash to finish off the kill, but Ultra Prime pick it up. Cryin with the package. Shadow will be able to get away. ShiauC going in with the aggressive flash. They find the stun, and Shadow will get the Rift Herald, but goes down in the end. Yeji, you don't want to be here, my dude, as he does use the distortion to get away. Elk and the rest of the members are going to be able to put some damage down in mid and look for the siege. And Ultra Prime finding some much-needed kills. LGD, though, did get the Herald. We are going to be keeping our eyes on where they are able to drop that one. They haven't been able to get plates in really any of their lanes so far, so no obvious place to drop it. We have talked about the philosophy of in terms of like things like wave clear coming out, maybe dropping that one around mid, though Jinx is your hyper carry, so I think getting those plates on her is nice. As Lyric, break down this replay for me. Thanks, Lyric. We see ZS landing a nice Q. Fearness already being low on mana, no call of the Forge God. ZS flashing it for that one. Hacker able to finish it off is, you know what time it is? It's Herald, which means it's package time. Cryin can close that distance so easily. We can see Elk able to stay far away. Curtain call, boom, boom, bam! Sniper shots come out. And yeah, that was the level of analysis I provided you guys. Boom, bam, boom. And you have to accept it, because what could you do? I'm not going to DC. I'm not Mazel. He might be back at some point. Who knows? It's an exciting mystery that we're all going to find out together. As LGD do drop their Herald bot, giving more gold over to Mr. Eric, formerly Hysteric's favorite player in the LPL. Not sure if it's still true. Maybe the Shy has actually won his heart back with the fact that Weibo looked pretty decent. Weibo looking pretty solid. And we actually will see Weibo later on today. Weibo are our third series of the day. They'll be taking on TT. So the setup will be there for the Shy to pop off. But I don't know why I'm talking about the Shy. Because the Shy is not in this game right now. Who is in this game is ShiauC, Russell, and Mr. Fredrickson. Which sets up for, if these are Russell and Mr. Fredrickson, who would be Doug? Who I believe is the dog's name, if I do remember correctly, that loves squirrels. Which I feel like it's pretty cool. Squirrels are awesome. Living abroad, I haven't seen squirrels in many countries I've been to. As Hacker is going to start off the dragon as I get incredibly off topic for long periods of time. JinJiao's coming in. Summoners are available on both sides. We do have the ulti available for JinJiao. Hacker should be forced off this, but Cryin having first track in. Shadow is able to take the dragon away, finds the engage. Hook comes out from JinJiao. And there we see it. Hacker instantly going down. Eric did get picked off on the opposite side by Elk, though. 1-for-1 so far. We see ShiauC trying to find something. JinJiao getting incredibly low. Zenith now in the fight. Goes in with the body slam. Explosive cast, bringing the fight all over the place. Yeji distortioning in to find another kill. And LGD are chasing down the members of Ultra Prime. Elk, ShiauC. I don't know if you want to posture and turn this one. Still a numbers advantage. Cryin did push in midway, so Yeji gonna go and have to answer back on that one. And we predicted a 2-game series coming in. We maybe a little bit disrespectful to LGD because they are bringing this one back. And when we've hit on how these compositions interact, it feels like LGD do have a solid shot to be able to take this game. As Yeji getting chunked out by Cryin, and Cryin gonna have to be the big member, does have his mirror mana finished. Oh, Yeji going in aggressively. Cryin forced to flash away. Hacker was here, reads the play quite nicely. As I've been talking far too much, and you people deserve a break from my voice, but gosh darn it, it's a replay. It's in my contract, I have to talk during replays. Eric, we're gonna say you got caught out. You walked up to Elk. Elk does land his snare. Big damage with the first shot, taking him out. Cryin forced out of the fight by both Yeji and JinJiao. Even with the roam coming in from the ORnn, making it hard. We saw on the opposite side ZS keeping in from bot lane, so not able to help his mid laner walk into the fight. And that's just a difference in how this panned out, right? LGD coming in as a unit, their bot lane, at least their support, able to make it into river first. Fearness coming in from top side. And you know what? Now that the replay is done, we're going to take a nice deep breath. And then we're going to make our way back in an elegant, quiet voice tone. It's Cryin. Kills minions across the rift. JinJiao looking for the play bot. Elk does have both summoners up. Can he outplay this one? Commits to the trade onto Eric for now. ShiauC making his way over. TPs are coming out. Elk with the Gale Force into the flash over the wall. Call the Forge God coming out big, and instantly Elk is just deleted. Yeji lands a chain onto ShiauC. ShiauC is going down, and that is another 2 kills over to LGD. Elk getting a little bit too happy for those turret plates down the bot side, but the action is not stopping just yet. The knock-up coming out from Fearness to lock down Cryin, gonna force out of Valkyrie, and LGD just aren't stopping this one. Sadly for Yeji, not able to find it, but super mega death rocket is massive. Another kill going over to the side of LGD with Eric picking up that one. LGD hurt us. LGD hurt us, maybe talking a little bit of trash. Saying, hey, they weren't expected to come in and win today. They come into this game, they adapt with their draft. We don't see the same amount of volatility. And everything is coming together right now for the side of LGD. As, hey, we got a replay of exactly what just happened. You guys get to hear me talk about what just happened twice. Because Elk lands the snare. JinJiao, though, wants nothing to do with it. Flashes in, Gale Force into flash over the wall is quite nice, but this is the LPL instantly into another fight. And ooh, I'm hearing in my ears, Mazel is apparently back.
I am. Gotta love technical difficulties, especially when it involves your PC. But like, you know, we got the MVP. We got the MVP of the LPL casting. All right, we gotta give Mr. Solo Lyric some time to himself. But Ultra Prime apparently getting some time with the Rift Herald. Catch me up a little bit. What we got? I see we got some action, I would say, as we're almost at a kill a minute, Lyric.
Oh yeah, we've seen a lot of spiciness, especially down towards that bottom lane. LGD though, Mazel, they're picking it up. We've seen their members rotating around the map. Fearness, Shadow, Yeji, all going towards the bottom side. Cryin!
Oh, but Eric just dies! Oh my god! And here's the poke coming through. The ORnn has been called, but the Gale Force gets Elk out, and we're starting to see the setup from Ultra Prime here. Oh, he goes in.
Oh,
he can't get the kick, though. He gets it late. He dies to the tower, and Shadow gets the re-engage, as does JinJiao, and Ultra Prime are caught running. Elk getting the depth charge used upon him, and he gets clapped to death.
I mean, LGD coming up in spades. Remember, this play was started off by Ultra Prime. Nice package, finds a kill, but still over-aggressing, maybe feeling the heat in terms of the scaling of these compositions and how this game will pan out. They're scared. The ORnn, the Jinx, the LeBlanc, what are we going to be able to do against this? Let's pull the trigger now and hope for the best. Sadly, the best wasn't very good. Honestly, it kind of sucked, and now LGD get another tower.
I like the analytical breakdown. See, my play-by-play brain has started to take over Lyric a little bit. With that hard-hitting analysis. But
there was no replay, Mazel. The analysis comes in the replay.
Yeah, we got to set yourself up there. There you go. Perfect timing. Look at this.
Mazel, I knew. Package comes out instantly into forcing the cleanse, but man, ZS closing so much distance. This is where, though, I think for the side of Ultra Prime, you just commit to the disengage. We're going to see them look for the turn, though. They do land a Q onto Shadow, thinking that he can find the kick, but still, members like JinJiao, Yeji able to close distance so much faster, and now Cryin not really having too much he can commit to the fight. We already hit on how Elk isn't going to be this massive damage dealer this time around because he is on the Jhin. And guess what? The enemy team is tanks. Jhin hates tanks. You really can't hurt those guys. And he ends up going down the end. So just overall, over-aggression coming in from Hacker, right? You could have backed off. It could have been a one-for-one play in the end. That would have favored LGD because of their scaling, but it is better than giving them everything.
And I'm very, very much liking this bounce back from LGD. It looks like they've shored up some of that communication, right? And they're playing with a lot of confidence. We got a BM book purchase for Yaji on the LeBlanc. Can always appreciate that. Got 10 pages in that one already. But it's been a lot of that decision-making that I feel like we've seen LGD be able to turn around a bit. Still, the worry is of that double marksman composition. We'll see how that scaling kind of turns out for Ultra Prime.
I feel like the problem is LGD win in numerous different map setups, right?
Yep.
They have side lane pressure coming in from the LeBlanc, so Yeji will continuously be able to put a lot of pressure onto either ZS or Cryin, to where Fearness should be able to survive against both. Sure, he will get pushed in, so it will be one side of prio for each, but LGD, massive benefactors. Front-to-back team fights. You have the ORnn. You have the Nautilus coming through. I'm going to pause as Herald does come down for the side of Ultra Prime. I don't know if they have enough damage to die Fearness.
I don't know, but Fearness wants to go for it. The kickback, but he still gets the secondary activation off. Hacker has to use the war jump to get away, but Shadow is on the flank. They're TPing down here. Ultra Prime are caught between a rock and the hard place, but they're going to try to fight their way out. Hacker getting away for just a moment. ZS goes for the engage there, but it's a 3v4. The cast comes out. ZS all by his lonesome. They just need to turn around the damage at this point, but they can't do so. They still have them flanked. They still have them caught out of position, and Hacker goes in, gets out with his life, but only for a moment as Shadow goes in with the lethalness to take him out. You've still got Eric popping rockets right now, but ShiauC is there to try to taper the damage off. Does not matter. He's excited, and Eric's gonna show it. Huge play from LGD.
What should have been a winning play for Up completely turns its head in LGD's favor. I want to highlight, Yeji walked all the way from top lane to bot lane. That is how long that fight took. Doesn't have TP, was sitting up topside even when members started dying. LGD able to buy time with that durability that we talked about and turn it into a winning fight and another turret.
What a play, what a turnaround in game number 2, and I'm starting to get a little excited here myself as Eric might need to get a little excited, hopefully get away. Cryin just gets him, and the confidence flash over the wall, but Yeji shuts him down.
Cryin was not happy after that last fight. I'm so happy that Yeji went in for the pick. When he started to click away, I'm like, what are you doing? You're LeBlanc. You can easily get in there and find that trade kill.
Be careful, around all those pages, man. All right.
Whoa. You are on LeBlanc. There is only, what was it, a Lee Sin or something in front of you. You're fine. Point is, you're fine. We're going to see on the replay, though. I think here LGD overcommit. Because you look at the minimap, Yeji is top, like we hit on. He can't TP down. This is numbers advantage for the side of LGD. It is a bit of a 3v4 right now, so they're able to get good damage on ZS. Cryin trying to find something back. Curtain Call does open a nice time. Keep your eyes on ShiauC. Solar Flare does only lock down one. Had that been able to hit Eric, that could have been huge, but he instead locks down Nautilus, and it sets up for Eric to just chain these resets and buy enough time for Yeji to get across the map to get here. So I think a little bit of a...
Nope. Don't just finish that one. As Ultra Prime fighting in the mid lane. They have already lost one. Hacker getting very low himself. The engage onto ZS. He tries to cast them away from him, but he dies anyways. And now LGD feel fully confident to push down in the mid lane to get this tier 2, or even go for an objective if they want to.
Look, this will not cast or curse this game. LGD are winning this game. LGD commanding lead. 7,000 gold. They're gonna get a Baron. They have scaling on their side. They have the different ways to play out the map. And now for Ultra Prime, I mean, I don't even know what your comeback condition is. Elk is dead. Elk is dead.
Oh, yep. There's the chain completion. Yeji adds another couple pages to the book.
Like, for Ultra Prime, I feel like all you're saying is, hey, hopefully you can find picks, but I feel like the only two members you can... Maybe there's 3 members you can pick off, right? You can either pick off AD, support, or jungle. It all involves them being left alone or them walking into you. As we see here, ShiauC, once again, trying to find and engage. They do have numbers advantage, so I think they could get it. But still, you're just going in on these tanky members. Shadow popping his ultimate, buying so much space, buying so much time, to where Elk and Cryin not able to get in there and hurt him. And Eric is just huge. Eric is a 3-item Jinx at this point in time. Ultra Prime's team comp is not very tanky. He can just completely wipe out anyone.
Yeah, and it's a lot of, as we were kind of mentioning in the draft, right, it's a lot of go forward for Ultra Prime, and when you're at a deficit like this, makes it more difficult, right? You see ShiauC getting these good engages, but after he gets the engage, you can't really do anything. And I will say there seems to have been a little bit of hesitance in the play calling from Ultra Prime. We saw it on that bot lane fight. We've seen it a couple times in the team fights where it seems like the target calling is a little bit spread. And that definitely, when you're in this position against this style of composition, makes things a little bit more worse for wear. As we see LGD pushing strong down this tier 2. We'll get it and on to the inhib tower.
They do have a bunch of ultimates open as well. The side of Ultra Prime need to be careful. Call of the Forge God can be open at any time. Chain that into Yeji jumping in and finding a pick. Things get very scary for the side of Ultra Prime. Heck, I guess things already are scary. We're just talking about upping the ante. We're talking about, like, new age horror films compared to old slasher war builds.
I
Because let's
see.
be real,
Oh,
ZS.
ZS goes in for the engage. You got the curtain call behind double. One of the Forge God gets the connection, but LGD have too many peel options, and they're too tanky to really be forced to back out of anything at this point.
And you just committed an E-Flash ultimate into a LeBlanc who can easily distortion away and feel fine. You would have had to instantly burst her out for that play to have any steam. They weren't able to do so. I don't know how they imagined doing so. Maybe a big one into a fourth shot or, you know, curtain call does it, but I feel like even that, we're grasping at straws for ways that Ultra Prime could find picks or win fights at this time. And again, a lot of it just comes down to how the champions interact at this point.
Yeah, and for me, it's honestly impressive that ZS has still been able to find all these crazy engages, even though they're not working out, right? Like, we obviously see why Ultra Prime feel confident in the Gragas.
Is it impressive, though, when you're trying to find engages that shouldn't happen?
True. Dredgeline doesn't connect. They got the TP, but it's a little bit too late. Double knockup already completed there, and Fearness just keeps walking forward. Yeah, G gets another couple pages to the book, and JinJiao gets his own kill. Ultra Prime spread to the wind like dust, and LGD, at this point, have their pick of the litter of what they want to do. I
mean, yeah, for G, let's just, you know, give him some praise real quick, right? 10-0-5 on the LeBlanc. I feel like we've been talking a lot about Eric because typically he's been the one getting jumped on, but Yeji has been the one putting out a fair amount of this damage, and especially the presser, right? He's been constantly weaving in over walls with the LeBlanc to force members of Ultra Prime to back off.
They catch Cryin there. He has to use the package out, but a lot of ultimates are going to utilize the re-engage from JinJiao, and there it is. The resets for Eric, and the excited spree continues. Ultra Prime trying to do something about it, but the Nexus is the focus for LGD, and they'll even up the series 1-1.
Overall, just solid performance. I think we saw hints of the Ultra Prime that we didn't game on with some of the aggression coming out towards the bot lane, but LGD just had a nice answer. We saw them dedicating resources down towards bot, typically TPing or walking numerous members down, especially when it comes to top